Hi everyone, this is Debbie Happy Cohen with our very first tea time. And today's topic is victim, victimized, and victorious. So I received a message today from someone who finally came to terms with herself. She'd been in a very abusive, emotionally abusive relationship and left that person and then end up in another relationship like it. And one of the things that she and I kept confronting was I kept seeing her go into denial about how bad it was, even though she left. And one of the things I've been encouraging in myself and in others is to really be present if you feel sad, really be present if you feel angry. But how can you feel angry? How can you protect yourself with the mechanism of anger if you're in denial that something bad actually happened to you? She admitted to me today that she'd been blaming herself all this time for the relationship and how bad it was, and that she creates her own reality and that it was her fault and that she did it. Oh my Lord. And she said, for the first time in all these years, I finally cried. And she was crying. And I'll tell you what, tears of self-compassion are the gateway to getting to the other side of this kind of trauma. She didn't want to be a victim. Nobody wants to be a victim, especially people who are codependent. Codependent people, I wrote a blog post that people laughed about that said, hey, your neediness is showing. The worst thing possible to say to a codependent person or somebody with codependency issues. And but I said, if you had a friend who had experienced something similar or who had just been severely physically hurt, you would cry for that person and you would be angry at the person who did it. And so while blame isn't something we want to stay in, if it's there, if it's inside of you, let it rise up, let it come out, let yourself have the tears that you deserve. And that's not self-pity. That's self-compassion, and then they'll flow out. But if you don't do that, you will not protect yourself as well as you should, and you will not attract better circumstances, and you'll not get traction because you're suffocated. It takes a lot of energy to hold down deep-seated anger and to hold down deep-seated tears. And a lot of times we use spirituality to give ourselves that abuse. So she is moving now from having been victimized to being victorious because she's setting herself free, because she's now treating herself like her own best friend. And that's what I want for you. I see everybody who's here as people who are trailblazers, because you are people who are in transition, people healing from trauma, people who are committed to creating transformation in the world. And it's okay if you don't see yourself as a trailblazer. I see you as that. Anybody who can do this, who can turn within and say, I need to adjust what's going on the inside so that I can adjust what I'm doing on the outside. That takes courage. That takes chutzpah. That takes cojones. And I'm so glad to be with you here on this path. Thank you, and I'll see you on the next video.